This is Meredith McCormick, Secretary of the Roger Sherman Building Committee. It is Tuesday, December 15th, and I will pass it over to Chairman Eric Lang.
All right, thank you, Meredith. This is Eric Lang, and the meeting is called to order. First item on the agenda is a update from Colliers. Mark
Schweitzer, Colliers. Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I lose track when I'm muted or not muted. Just to give you a quick update, the number plate on the lockers at the end of last meeting, the next day, I believe, I went out and verified that the number plates were the same as the ones previously installed. So they are with Board of Ed to install as agreed upon. So they are, and I sent pictures around to everybody showing that they are the same. Numbers match up too. So we are all set there. Punch list items. Well, I'll give you an update on the project. I'm going to probably steal some of Dave's thunder, but certificate of occupancy, substantial completion, certificate of substantial completion was issued last week with a very minor punch list. Also, an email or a letter was sent to Diversity signing off on how the heat pump stands were installed up on the roof. So the Diversity is working through that. The punch list was they still had to cap the piping above the stage where they removed some of the heating elements. So and some minor touch-up things. We do have work scheduled for over the holiday break to paint the back of the VRFs in the corridor. Swan is on board for that to dress up the backside of those VRFs that can be seen as you walk down the hallway. Did send the comments that Silver Petrocelli had on the PCOs to Diversity. Told them if after review, if they had any more questions, we can set up a meeting. Have not heard back from them on that. So that is still out there. Then basically the financial status is the same. We don't have any invoices. Well, we had one submitted, but it needed to be corrected, and I don't have it in time for this meeting, so I don't have any invoices. So the financial status is the same as the previous meeting with no invoices recorded or approved.
Mark, can I just make sure I got this right? Did you say the piping above the stage that needs to be capped, is that done, or is that still a remaining punch list item?
That's still that's one of the items on the punch list, correct.
That and then painting the VRF in the corridor is the last two things? Yes. Okay.
And I think there's a couple other items that Dave, if you know them off the top of your head, or I can get you the list from Silver Petrocelli.
So
no, I don't have that full list. It's relatively minor that is remaining. They're 99% there.
99% there on the punch list?
Can you hear me, Eric?
No, sorry.
I can hear you, Dave.
Yeah, I was saying that the punch list is essentially 99% complete. I think there's one or two other items that was not mentioned by Mark, and I don't have that list because they keep, it keeps changing. But Marty Cashin from our office was out there the end of last week, and he was very happy with what he saw.
Okay. So presumably whatever that last 1% will be done over the Christmas break.
That
the
is
plan,
their yes, that is the plan.
Okay. And now the last few PCOs, I mean, some of these things have been hanging out here for a while, unresolved. It seems like there's been quite a bit of back and forth between diversity and Silver Petroselli and the entire team. Can we? How are we just putting these to bed? Are there provisions in the contract that require them to respond in a certain number of days, or otherwise they forfeit their claim? Because it just seems like we're not getting anywhere on some of these items.
Well, with the PCOs, we sent back the comments last week. So if I don't hear back by the end of this week, probably early part of next week, we'll give them a drop dead date of first week in January, and tell them that if basically if claim it, or it drops, or it's no longer to pursue it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if they're going to be done with the punch list, come January 4th, we could, in theory, be closing out the job immediately thereafter, if all these PCOs are resolved and we have a final invoice.
Correct. Well, before we pay them the final invoice, we'll get a conditional waiver saying that everything's they've been paid and there are no other claims coming.
Right.
Well,
all right. So that should be the goal over the. Yeah. Go ahead, Sal. Sal? Did we lose him?
I'm back.
Sorry, what were you saying, Sal?
I was saying that diversity still needs to get the CO, so haven't seen that yet
Good
either.
point.
So it's not just the closeout book, warranties, all that. They're moving around in the background in Procore, but it needs to be final before that last bill. So
right.
Yeah, we started seeing O&M manuals. Actually, I received some submittals today. They had an as-built set of drawings that I looked at, so we obviously need to review that and approve the O&Ms. But they are working on that, which is good news.
Okay. All right. So, as this punch list work is getting wrapped up over the course of the next couple of weeks, we push to get all these other items resolved as well. So come, end of January, we're completely, wrapped up and call this one complete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see anything on the certificate of occupancy list that cannot be completed over the holiday break, and the items on the punch list should be completed over the holiday break. So the physical work inside the building should be done January 1. So then it just becomes a paperwork exercise, getting the C of O, getting the O&Ms, getting the training in, getting the attic stock over, and then submitting the conditional lien waivers and their own conditional lien waivers and invoices.
It's Meredith.
Okay.
If we have an OAC meeting tomorrow, would that be an appropriate time to talk with them about the proposed change orders, or are we just going to wait for them to get back to us in writing?
I mean, we can nudge them on it, but it's in diversity's court, but it's probably with their subs to make the decision as far as, do they want to go, do they want to proceed down that path, or do they just want to cut bait and settle?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, let's, I think that nudge doesn't need to be so gentle at this point. Like I said, I mean, these things have been hanging out there for a while, so let's get them resolved.
Understood. And that is all I have for an update.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Next item on the agenda is an update from Silver Petroselli.
Well, Mark stole some of my thunder, so the goal is, and I think they're all having an incentive to close the project out as quickly as we can at the beginning of the new year, and I think that could be brought up at your meeting tomorrow with them to encourage them when they are talking about the last items that should be on the list. So I do think we should nudge them along, and we'll also list those put out a checklist for the items they do need to complete, such as the consent to surety and such, and obviously work with Gerald on town closeout piece, and also with Sal on the O&M manuals, which, as I mentioned, were already being, they're in process of being submitted. So we're glad they're doing that. But we're right at the edge of closing this thing out, and our goal is to get that done right in the beginning of January.
Okay, great. I think would it behoove us to give them a date for resolving all these things, all the open PCOs with their subs, completing the O&M book, just getting all these last items resolved?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. And I think we could tie it directly to your next meeting, which will be in January, to do so. Or if not, they know it gets pushed off to 2 weeks later, until you, as the whole committee, have the opportunity to review and approve it. So, yes, I would absolutely use those dates as to incentivize them to complete it, because if not, it could potentially be pushed into February, which nobody wants. So, yes, I think we should give them a date and, let them know it's tied to the committee's approval of all this. Obviously, ours first in terms of our recommendation to you, but ultimately your final approval of payment applications.
Right. Yeah. So I guess our schedule for January is going to be the 5th and then again the 19th. I don't know if the 5th is unreasonable to expect all that to be complete, especially given the holidays. Maybe we can discuss that tomorrow.
Eric, I would think the 5th may be a little aggressive based on their timing, but I think we should push and let them know those dates and at least have the draft or most of the paperwork in there so you could see that by the 5th. So ultimately you could approve it by the 19th. But, yeah, that's the reason why we should present these dates to them so their final payment doesn't get pushed off until February, which ultimately means they don't see their check for further out. So,
right.
It's in their best interest to do so.
If I can interject, as a representative of the town, who is my primary concern, and as a businessman, if I don't have something done at the end of my corporate year, which happens in my corporation, ends in the end of November, I lose the ability to write off stuff. If I buy a truck, if I do whatever as a businessman, whatever, educate people. Is this delay? I don't know what the corporate year for the town is, and I assume that they have to abide by certain laws that us corporate people have to abide by. It behooves us, I would think, to close us out in the calendar year, if that is what the town has. I don't know, Sal. Do you follow my thinking on this?
Yeah, well, I follow your thinking. Our fiscal year is July 1 to June 30th of the following year. So we're within our fiscal. There's so many parts of it that are up in the air because there's always something hanging out there with the state on the reimbursement part. So they never really, they don't rush to close us out. But it's always good practice just to keep it moving along and do it as expeditiously as possible.
Yeah.
While still.
That's what the problem is with government. It doesn't run as a business, and whatever. That's my. Sorry. But okay, so the jeopardy is not really there in this particular instance, is what I'm getting at. But nevertheless,
yeah, I don't see where
this has been drawn out really way too long. I can't. Well, I'm sorry. I'm interjecting my personal opinion. This job should have been okay. Not that everybody wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. It just seems to go on and on. And I guess I'm just a little impatient with all the COVID-19 stuff and whatever. Sorry, folks. Discontinue the project, the program.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you, Rich, that, like I said, some of these things seem to just be taking a really long time to resolve. And I think now is the time. I think we're all probably getting a little bit impatient. So, Mark, Dave, just encourage you to, continue to push or maybe, ramp up with deadlines and what have you, the pressure on diversity to close this job out.
Understood. We'll get them. Work will be done over the holidays, and it's a paperwork exercise in January to get it wrapped up and sent off.
Let's get the paperwork done now while the work in the field is getting done. Yeah, there's
correct.
No
I mean, the O&Ms are in
simultaneously.
Understood. The O&Ms are in under review, and we'll nudge them on the PCOs and give them a deadline.
Okay. We have a complete set of O&Ms, or at least they believe it's complete.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So Dave, your office is reviewing those, as is Fairfield Public Schools, or how does that work?
We review them first and then send them off to Sal for review.
Got it. Okay. Okay. When do you anticipate doing that and sending it off to Sal for his final review and sign off?
It should be fairly soon. We just received them today, so we'll look through them quickly. I would say within the next couple of days we should have them off.
Okay. Great.
Just get them before I leave for Tahiti.
All right. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Rich.
No. I assume that he's negative. Who's ever going to Tahiti? So whatever.
All right. All right. Any other questions for Dave from the committee? All right. Not hearing any. Next item on the agenda is to hear, consider, and act upon the minutes of the regular meeting of December 1st, 2020. I will make a motion to approve those minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second. It's Meredith.
Second. Oh.
All right. Thank you, Meredith. Any discussion from the committee? All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye. Aye, Rich.
Aye. Meredith, did I hear you?
Yes, you heard me.
Okay. All right. So that's everyone. So
Yes.
and then there are no change orders and no invoices to review. So the next item on the agenda is old business, which is an update on the potential plaque and ceremony. But given that Patrice is not on, I don't believe we have an update there.
I can give you an update. Patrice emailed Rich Special and I the names of everyone that was involved in Phase 1 and Phase 2. And so Rich, who was chair of Phase 1 and Phase 2, the building committee in charge of that, looked over the names, as did I. And so we have a typed up list of names that Patrice from the town, Rich, and I are all in agreement with. And so we will make Patrice has that list. So we'll just make sure she has all the names, and then she can price out a plaque. The only thing we didn't have like a strong opinion on is if we should list the chair, vice chair, and secretary from all three phases. The only thing is, Rich, were you able to figure out who the secretary was in Phase 1?
I spoke to Jane, and she couldn't remember either. And then I went through the. I'm not positive who it is. It might have been Jerry Keogh. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I'm going to suggest then we just put the chairman's name first, and then everyone else involved in alphabetical order, and just not put the titles on.
It's okay. I have. It's fine with me, or no name, no position, whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I just don't know who the secretary was for Phase 1. I think it's probably...
The only thing is, I think I told you that Jane wanted to have an additional name, Jane Albano Purcell, and that's the only thing that I know.
Is it Albano?
Right.
Okay.
And that's her husband's name, so she wanted to have that. Yeah.
Eric, do you have an opinion, or Brian, about should we try to figure out, should we have the officers listed on the plaque or not?
No, I don't feel strongly one way or the other. If I would only say, if we are gonna, or if we are gonna do it, we make sure we're recognizing everyone. So if we're not able to determine a position on an earlier committee, then then I guess we leave them off.
Yeah, that's kind of
the only other option would be, I mean, we need to, because we just did it last meeting. We have to record the officers, and the town presumably would have that information on file, I would have thought, right?
I think that information was
something
not
we can get from Jen?
I don't think.
Was it not done that way back then?
I think it was, but for whatever reason, Reese wasn't able to get that information to Town Hall.
I see.
I can just put this back in her court, and we can take it from there. If we can get the names of the officers, then we can add that in, and if not, we won't. That would be my suggestion.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'd agree with that.
Okay. Brian, does that work for you?
Brian.
I'm there. Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Brian.
Yep. Yeah.
Brian, do you have any strong feelings on the plaque, or you're good with whatever?
I think everyone should be mentioned, and if they can't get the titles, then so be it. For the previous ones and for the current ones, if they're able to do it, then we should do it then. So I'm not here to say anything more than that.
Okay.
You know who might have it? The gal that used to be up in the office with Jennifer. Sal, what was the name up there? Sal?
It used to be Kathleen Griffin was up there. She's not in the office anymore.
No, I know she's no longer there. She would know where it was.
Right. We should be able to find the officers. I'm not sure who said, because one of the reasons that you report as a building committee, the officers, because that's a historic fact that you need to know. So it's in the record somewhere. So I'm not sure exactly, how the question was asked or not, but we can have a further discussion of this offline, because I can't believe they don't have a record, either in town clerk or with the selectman's office as to who were the officers of one of their committees.
All right, we'll continue to work on it.
Betsy Brown. Right to me. I bet you Betsy Brown's got it. I'll bet dollars to donuts she's got it someplace. All right, whatever.
All right. I'll get back to Reese.
Okay. Thanks, Meredith. All right.
Can I just ask one question? This is Christine. About for the other Sherman building projects, that was under the Special Project Standing Building Committee, though?
Yes, both of them were.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Look, I'm looking at minutes from 2016, and Jen Carpenter is the recording secretary on these minutes.
Right. We have the officers from that phase 2. It's the phase 1 that we don't have. And I know Rich tried to go back to the old minutes and couldn't see it.
Okay, I'll ask. I'll ask around too.
Secretary of Special Projects. like the whole time. All right, we'll get the final information, but at least
Okay.
we're almost there.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from the committee on the plaque? All right. Moving right along. Any new business anyone would like to raise? All right. Not hearing any. I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you
Good
all.
night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Have a
Enjoy
good
the
happy
holidays.
holidays.
Happy New Year.
You all. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Same to you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.